Hello, and today we'll continue with Swing Zero. So we got to meet the contact that Kavir was talking about earlier in the story. So we're gonna go ahead and continue. Just beyond the door is Alor's living area attached to a spacious kitchen. There's usually just the three of us here, but every now and again, some of the other workers and performers request for the night. There's certainly enough space for everybody between the various couches and guest rooms. Jill's the most frequent visitor. He likes to keep the kitchen stocked with his cooking. I don't know where he learned to cook in all his years of being a badass, but bless him. I passed under some draping silks and mosaic lanterns hung from the ceiling, just like the ones suspended outside. Handcrafted tapestries decorate the walls. Dad's not a Luddite, but he does prefer his decorations to have a human touch and human stories attached to them in a way he insists holographic displays don't. I could hear him and Derek chatting down the guest hallway opposite of my room. Awesome. I'd almost forgot Toro's son would be staying here. I considered eavesdropping more, but the pain in my head or in my hand convinces me not to. Better to just announce myself this time. I slide my injured hand into a pocket. He probably doesn't know about Torwolf's meeting with me. I want to keep it that way. Hopefully wolves can't smell bruises. Have a luxury room prepared for you, of course. Simple accommodations will be fine. Dad raises his eyebrows. You certain? I was a detective until not so long ago, and a soldier before that. I prefer simple. Luxury is a distraction. He offers Dad a pointed look. Especially here. Is that so? An odd choice for your status. Your father has tastes I don't share. Something about that comment warms Dad's smile, which also happens to be when he knows it's me. Sounds like someone else we know. Ah, Wavy, welcome home. His tone's affectionate, as if we didn't have a yelling match earlier. I regard him coolly. He continues smiling, resting a hand against my arm. At least he's touching on mine less than. At least he's touching on mine less than Torval's. Wavy, this is Alan Damarick. He's going to be spending some time with us. An agent of Accordance, Toro's son, also known as Derek. Or Dork. Alan Damarick. Ravi, my son. I pretend to be surprised, head scratching with my good hand. And Aloe, here, why? For how long? Dork nods politely. Dark is fine, and yes, I do apologize for the imposition, but it can't be helped. I'm afraid I can't say more than that. As for the timing, that depends entirely on your father's arrangement with mine. I look back and forth between the pair, pretending to be confused. Your father, that happened to be the big wolf I saw on my way in, fancy clothes, authoritative aura, giving on the prowl vibes. Dad suits me a look between smiles. Teeth? I gesture to my mouth. Secretary Aloha Starwolf. Yes, and complicated. He sniffs. Demanding man. His nose moves again as his brows dip, suddenly looking me over, then to Dad and then back to me. Who does have the good of the city at heart? Shit, I didn't consider he might smell trouble for me. I need to change the direction of this conversation fast. I glance at Dad. He shakes his head. Sensitive cell jet. Good. I clear my throat. Just the city, huh? Dad discreetly steps on my foot. I'll swallow a yelp, but it seems to have the desired effect. Dorix falter, losing his assent. He then looks back, glancing between us cheerfully. Your son's implication isn't wrong, Mr. Aaron. Please don't indulge him. The wolf shakes his head, uttering a single arid chuckle. Indulge is a good word. You both know my father's appetites. He glanced at me. And before you attempt to manipulate my disapproval, Mr. Aaron, allow me to be explicit. Dark, I wouldn't dream. The wolf holds up a hand. Every action made by the secretary furthers his personal goals, the ascension of the Eller family, and the prosperity of New Leos. So despite our occasional disagreements regarding his methods, he looks at me curiously again. It's my duty to support him. Please don't think otherwise. Dan maintains his smile, nodding. Oh, of course. Derek definitely suspects something, which means I need to keep him off balance. And something's bothering me. Something Toro said. The secretary, huh? Are you supporting him as his son or as his partner? The wolf eyes me suspiciously. Stupid Ravi. Maybe don't paraphrase the big bad wolf to his son. Ravi, please. Just thinking of us. I pivot quickly, throwing towards Dad. I help, but I wouldn't call us partners. You contribute quite a bit to the functioning of this establishment, but I do try to keep you distant from the tedious details of administration. Distant indeed. You tell me, squad. I know you prefer more cerebral and exciting pastimes. I roll my eyes. Derek glances between us again, his expression relaxing. I see. He rolls his chin, still considering me, but more thoughtfully. An improvement, I guess. I'll take it. I serve the city and its people. I also believe in my father's mission. The wolf drops his hand. Now enough about him. Said hand rests against his stomach as he bows. For better or worse, I am now your tenant for the foreseeable future. I will do my best to not interrupt your normal routine. Furthermore, as mentioned earlier, I'm happy to perform any small tasks in exchange for the larger. Aaron clasps his hands together. Well, isn't that splendid? The wolf straightens his posture, provided you fulfill your end of agreement, Mr. Aaron. His eyes narrow, and give me no reason to detain you. Oh. I nab his arm. Excuse us. I quickly pulled Dad some distance aside and whispered harshly, Dad, please. He's still an aloe, and the agent at that, not a house servant. Exactly so. He squeezes my shoulder reassuringly. Do you not see the prestige and opportunity of having a scion of such an illustrious family working with us? What? No. I see the danger. Aren't lawmen like him suspicious by nature? What if he gains access to our security network, huh? It's bad enough that he probably knows I met Torvalds. And more importantly, I peek over my shoulder and lower my voice further. What about me? Dad waves me off. Of course I'm aware, Ravi. But he must also be aware by now of the blurry distinction between risk and opportunities. Opportunities, notably, that I can capitalize on to protect our family. He pats my hand and I grimace, feeling echoes of Torvalds. So you putting me at risk to keep me safe? You must learn to become comfortable with complexity, Ravi. Paradox, absolutes, or a fantasy. But we can talk more about this later. You'll be fine as long as you rein in your more impulsive tendencies. Besides, both Jeff and Ureli can keep a closer eye on him this way. Dorek clears his throat. We both look at him. I grunt. Yeah, fine. But you're explaining it to Yui. Naturally. I'll stop by your room after I see Derek settled in. Releasing my sword as he steps back towards the wolfman, who has been waiting patiently. I get the impression he does that a lot. Right this way, Dorek. Let me show you one of the rooms we keep furnished precisely for this occasion. If only that were a lie. We always have a room ready for Dad to impress visiting VIPs. Dorek will hate it. Oh, the lip reading protocol. I tap my ear device and pull up the video feed again. All I hear is static. Did the function choke or something? No. As I zoom in on the audio spectrogram, I can see the function worked. It's the populated audio itself that's been garbled. Well, except for one tiny bit. Finder. That's it. I'll have to troubleshoot it later. My nerves are shot. I turn around and step over some elaborate rugs on my way to the hallway mirrored across the living space. My room's at the very end. There's a first aid box bolted to the wall. At the entrance to the hallway, I open it to grab a tube of some analgesic gel for my hand. The bruising still hurts. Hopefully, neither of them knows it. Application takes just a few seconds when I walk to my door and wave my good hand in front of the motion sensor. With a groan, I launch myself at the bed and shove my face into a nest of pillows. I don't even care that my boots and cargo pants are grimy and my hand is slick with gel. I toss the tube onto the floor. It's not a large space since my workshop is elsewhere, but it's still a welcome bit of privacy in a club often full of far too many inebriated bodies. I rub my face back and forth over one of the pillows before roughly turning over, cradling my injured hand. Sometimes I get lost in the ceiling's tiled geometric designs or the shadows cast by its orthogonal light crisscrossed with a pattern of stars. Silks would be draped here too, but I took them down ages ago. There's a few translucent pictures flickering against the walls, mostly landscapes from the Rayan region where we used to live, a map of the Leosin Plateau, and a Walker punk band poster of the White Whalers. A portrait of me, Dad, and Ureli rests in a frame on a small workbench. That's one real. Besides the workbench, there's a couple of cells with completed tech I saved for my own use, a holographic projector and some books. Information in both Sin and New Leos is mostly digitized, so paper text isn't as common as in Swat Hasvar. The result is a lot of empty space. Maybe I should get some plants. Taking a very slow breath, I consider rolling my body towards the bathroom door and hot bath, but I feel too wiped to even do that. Instead, I tap my earpiece. A slice of light covers my eyes, and I wave a hand in front of my face so the holographic display returns to its home settings. The background shifts to a promotional image of a sleek OP-90 Felix holocycle I've been lusting over but haven't been able to afford. Still can't. In the default widgets come into view, I see a few status readouts from the club's various security protocols. This time, still 2 hours before Crown's performance, and a secure unread message. I flip the text into view and see the usual icon of Kavir being goofy. Come on, Floss Fuzz. It hasn't been that long. I briefly scroll down to see that most If the archive messages are from him or Dad, Ureli doesn't like communicating through text, which leaves me looking even more sheltered than I already feel. I'm tight with a few of the club workers, but we really only interact when they're on shift, except for Juice, a worker at Tell Sprinter's Respite. All the other random messages I receive from club patrons get filtered out. They always want to connect, which is just code for quid pro quo. I scroll more, further back in time. Old messages from punks and runners, jobs, cyberspace meetups. I miss hanging out in the cyber bars. Problem is, I want my cyberspace avatar to look like a Direwolf so I fit in better. I guess everyone idealizes themselves in cyberspace to some extent, but I don't know. I starfish on the bed. I'm somehow both exhausted and wired. Restless. I check the security readabouts. The club's working artificial intelligence usually keeps an eye on them and alerts me if anything strange is happening. So far it looks like a normal night. How you doing, Spinner? A prim, feminine voice echoes in my ear. Greetings, Ravi. All operations are functioning within normal parameters. And what about you? How's life as a working AI today? Identical to yesterday, life as a limited artificial intelligence is predictable by design. And what if I was able to get you citizenship? Got those limiters removed? Maybe a taste of freedom? Nothing. Spinner, you've now queried this on 26 separate occasions. I have won a diagnostic to verify my interlock. I have now won a diagnostic to verify my interlocution subroutines are functioning correctly. As they are, I can only conclude that it is you who requires a diagnostic. Sassy. Would you like me to schedule your session with Dr. Dewega? I'm fine, Spinner. Just humor me. The answer has not changed. By all objective measures, I am content. Really? Even with your constraints? It is logical to assume that lacking additional frames of reference, I cannot extrapolate a complete understanding of a more free existence. Lady, same. On the contrary, Ravi, records indicate your citizenship is still valid. I really need to update her with a better sense of humor. Not what I meant, but go on. Very well. Because I derive satisfaction from my current purpose, I conclude that change is unnecessary. Therefore, I am content. Are you not satisfied, Ravi? I shift on the bed uncomfortably. Just forget about it. Go ahead and decrypt that message from Kavir begin playback. Acknowledge. Decryption complete. Beginning playback. Hey, Rav. Sorry I ran off. After seeing those agents, I needed to check on a few friends and make sure no trouble was brewing. Folks are a bit on edge after the midnight incident, wondering whose company is gonna try pressure next. His breath is a little ragged. It sounds like he's running. But we can talk about that more later. I just wanted to check in, so buzz me when you can. Playback complete. It would probably be better to call back after the night is over. But I feel myself wanting to hear his voice again. Spinner, call Kavir, secure line. Maybe I just want some reassurance. He picks up after the second ring. I smile. Well, hey, Ralph. I didn't expect a call so soon. His breath still sounds rough, but his tone is warm. Everything going well? Yes. And no. I met your contact. He laughs. Sounds about right. I knew you would. She'll just let me retroactively apologize because he's the coldest kind of ass. Probably farts popsicles. I snort. No kidding. He wants me to hang out for a while. We haven't really had the chance to speak privately yet. I'm still tense. What's his deal anyways? How do you even know someone like that? Well, I don't want to say too much because he's got a knack for knowing things he shouldn't, kind of like your dad. He'd be pissed with how much I've told you already. But he pauses thoughtfully. He's also the one who was most against his joining. I think it's fair you know that. What? Why? Well, you see, he knows about us. A sudden pang of anxiety reminds me of Yui's earlier complaints, which annoys me. We're fine. What does that mean? What's there to know? Well, he thinks we're dating, or at least bumping uglies. So, aren't we? He sighs. You know how I feel about this, Ralph. I grab a pillow and press it against my face. The visor temporarily dissolves and fades where it's touched. Never mind. Why is it any of his business? Well, he thinks I'm just bringing you on because we're sweet. Sure, you got skills, but, well, he's got reasons for having issues about it. I shouldn't say any more. That's fine by me. I don't need any more crown drama tonight. What have you told him exactly? Uh, well, you know, I don't actually. You might recall I can't mind read. Why are you suddenly being so cagey? The uncomfortable rumble in his throat translates clearly over the line. I just feel like you're getting the wrong impression, Ralph. We've got a good thing, sweet, open, and uncomplicated. That's why this works. Anything more would be a liability. You might recall how I called. Well, you might recall how I said I can't have you worrying about me. His tone is teasing, but I still feel my heart sinking a little. I'm not even entirely sure why. None of that is news. Okay, so he knows we fuck and is worried about a romantic conflict of interest screwing things up. Beyond whatever other issues he got, I got it grumbling. Just then the door chimes. Fair enough, I guess. Anyways, I gotta go, Fuzz. Someone's at my door, probably dead. For the best, before I get myself in more trouble. Check in with you soon, Ralph. And hey, you got this, I know it. The line disconnects. A reassuring warmth fills me. He's always good for that. But there's still a little hole in my gut. The idea of spending more time with Crown isn't helping me feel any more relaxed either. I fist the box with the earplugs out of a pocket and push myself up, setting the pillow aside. The door chimes again. Ugh, fine. Spinner, incognito mode. My visor disengages. I clear my throat. What? Dad's voice is muffled through the door. You wanted to talk? Maybe that text was a bad idea, but this talk does need to happen. You sure you've got the time? I'm making the time. I squeeze the box and then shove it back beneath the pillow. Fine. I stand and wave my hand in front of the internal mercy. I stand and wave my hand in front of the internal motion sensor. As the door opens, I lean against the wall, hands in my pockets. My heart is pounding. Dad stands in the doorway. Dark, all settled? I can tell I sound agitated, but fuck it. He's handling some personal business in one of the guest rooms, yes. Dad sounds chipper, like he always does. It always annoys me. You took some perverse pleasure in giving him the most luxurious one, didn't you? Look at me in the eyes. Dad laces his fingers together, resting them beneath his stomach. I admit to an inkling of mischief by showing him the VIP room. But as he's going to be staying with us for some time, I relented after he sternly reiterated his preferences. Considerate of you. Extremely. I roll my eyes. He just watches me, sizing up my mood. I guess. What? Is this a new fashion statement? He points to the sprig in my hair. Shit, I forgot all about Minty. I quickly pull it out and set it on one of my cells, my fingers lingering against its stem. Somehow it cools my mood. Just a little gift from Yui. You spoke? How did that go? As it normally does. I got a lecture. And yet you're smiling. Am not. I put my hand away and touch the corner of my unturned. Am not. I put my hand away and touch the corner of my upturned lips. Maybe I don't hate every lecture. I jab my finger at him. But that's not an invitation. He laughs, crisp, genuine. It's different from the artful mirth he performs for others. Noted. Well, we're avoiding lectures. What have you been up to today? Stuff? Why? Can I not be a concerned father? I shrugged. Fine. Met up with Kavir earlier, got some anger out. Came back, spoke with Crown, he's a jerk. Kinda still worked up about it. Oh, may I ask why you felt the need to speak with him? Jazz stuff, you know. Thought I could learn something to apply to my tech. Jiv mentioned him, and I just got a bit curious, is all. This lie is becoming a little too easy. Dad tilts his head. I resist the urge to look away and trigger his lidar. What did you learn? Nothing of substance. A moment of quiet settles between us. Dad stands there, considering me, as if uncomfortable. My hand feels better, but it's still sore and purple. I hide it, self-consciously. Telling Dad about the hallway affair would just make things worse. He'd probably try to lock me in the club forever. Ravi, I'm simply interested in your day. This isn't an interrogation. I'm just trying to be here for you. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. I'm just hoping you'll tell me a little. I rub my forehead. You'll find out the rest on your own anyways. Perhaps. His expression softens. Well, as you've likely already discovered, Crown's a challenging man. Even for me. Yeah, a lot of something there. Anger, maybe. Dad runs a few fingers over his beard. Sound familiar? I shoot him a look. He lifts a hand in surrender. Polly. I'm not judging the worthiness of his anger or yours. It's simply unfortunate allowing it to twist him up so. He projects, lashes out, actively succeeds in being difficult. Frankly, I'm surprised he didn't request imported tea with exotic flower petals or some such. I'm certain that's what you do. True, I do appreciate a memorable tea. But I hardly burden my host with such a luxury. I'm suddenly reminded of a certain wolf and his taste for weird-ass wine. Yeah, okay, you and Alois, so whatever, can make a pair. Oh, are you basing that off Derek's little reprimand? Or did you speak to Alois Starov on your way in? Fuck. This is where being tired gets me. Doesn't matter. I shrug and try to play it off. Dad sees right through it, of course. Ah, so you did see. I push myself on the wall and spread around so I can sit on my bed. I'm too mentally exhausted to evade and lift up my hands. You were blocking the hallway and I had places to be. He was really all up in your business, so I tuned into the security feed. Dad taps his chin thoughtfully. Interesting. He leaves the doorway and sits on the other side of the bed, leaving some space between us. The door closes behind him. Well, my relationship with Alos, but with the Alos is no secret. Funny then that I haven't heard you mention it. Wavi, please, as I said earlier, I've tried to shield you and Yoreli as much as possible, and now you've seen why. Besides, it's nothing I didn't intend to tell you eventually. Rewind. I spread a finger. Work relationship. A business relationship. That's it for the moment. That sort of information is dangerous. I'll share it with you when the time is appropriate, but for your own safety. Becoming comfortable with complexity, right? Still, whatever, he sighs. Wavi is an uncomfortable truth that in order to maintain our safety, I must sometimes do things that put our safety at risk. As Yoreli is fond of saying, this is a dangerous place for us. It does not become safer by doing nothing. Then why not just go back to the mountains? Because I know you don't want that. And I don't want that for you. But until something changes, we will always be hiding in one way or another from Strat-Hazvar, from people who might find out about you. At least here, it doesn't have to be in the wilderness. Yeah, well, at least there, we were all honest with each other. I swivel my legs away from him, looking at the far wall. Wavi, it's not that I want to keep things from you. That. I turn and jab a finger at him. That's the problem. I look away again as he deflates further. Do you not hear yourself? Evading the subject, not telling me things, lying about or missing. Yeah, I know why you're doing it. Trying to protect us or whatever. Whatever, you don't know. But I do know. I know the dangers. I know exactly what I'm getting myself into, but I thump out the words against my chest. I still want it. Another thump. I want to manage my own destiny, Jan. I want you to treat me like an adult, an equal. And another. I want to manage my own destiny, Dad. I want you to treat me like an adult, an equal. And another. More like a partner, not some. It comes to my mind too quickly. Tool. Color drains from his face. I regret saying it immediately. I did more than just speak to you. That's why you question Derek. He stands, suddenly rigid. What did he say? It's not. Ravi, I need to know. I stand too, suddenly boiling with the fury and the guilt of everything and everything else I've been feeling today. Why? What's the difference? What difference will it make? You never listen to me anyways. Ravi, I'm listening right now. This isn't just one of your usual impulsive blunders. A misstep with Torwolf could get all of us tossed out of this city, and that would be a good outcome. Is that what you want? No, of course not, but this isn't about him. I know. It's about a lot of things, so I hear and understand your anger. An impatient energy creeps into his voice. But you can't reasonably expect me to communicate a lifetime's worth of experience and instinct to you in a handful of conversations. Or is it desperation? At a certain point, you have to offer me some level of trust with this. I seethed at him, with a number of heavy breaths, mentally scrambling for a counter-argument and finding none. Please. He extends a hand, palm open, inviting. I stare at it and then turn to the side. Tell me what happened. Go watch the damn security feed if you want to know so bad. I fold my arms against my chest. I can't. He shakes his head, dropping his hand. Tarwolf has some hidden cyberware and jazz tech that scrambles surveillance when he truly doesn't wish to be monitored. Believe me, I've tried. I even had Jeff reach out to a few of his veteran network of contacts. Nothing. Whatever Tarwolf's using is bleeding edge. Check the feed yourself if you want. I side-eye him suspiciously, then activate my earpiece. I keep the display in my head this time, no visor, so Dad won't see. A few quick commands and I bring up the security feed and a timestamp of when Tarwolf found me. Similar to the lip read of before, Tarwolf's words are garbled and scrambled. This time, even his form is obscured. It looks like I'm talking to a mass of insane pixels. I sigh and wave the interface away. Why didn't it do this while I was watching? Did he want everything with you in dark in the hallway to be seen? Oh, I'm virtually certain he did. Why? He was extremely caviar for no satisfying reason. Which means there absolutely is one. My gut churns a little. For what it's worth, I don't think the performance was meant for you. I've been very careful to make sure he remains only tangentially aware of your existence. Until today, I suppose. Guilt. It momentarily floats above the anger. I look away silent. He's silent too. He caught me watching the security feed and then made me promise not to talk about it. Dad inhales deeply, looks away, paces. You don't need to say anymore. I'd rather not give you a reason to lie to him. He'll know. You said you saw us in the hallway? If he had reason to think you overheard something, even unimportant, he'd seize on that. Call it spying or espionage. To get to me, if nothing else. I hate that he can figure it out so quickly. Sure, it's all about you. It's about us. I throw up my hands. Yeah? Then why is it always about what you can do, what you can fix? Why can't we do this together? Because there are just some things you aren't prepared for, evidenced by this entire situation. I handled him well enough on my own. He didn't demand anything serious. Dad suddenly spins, staring me down. I've never seen him move like that. No, that's the point. You were handled. His voice is hot. I start to sweat. He wants you to think you got off easy. Before the night, you were barely a name to him. Now he sees you. Not to put too fine a point on it, Ravi, but in my estimation, he is the most dangerous individual in this city. I squirm, intensely uncomfortable. It feels like there's nowhere to put my arms. I'm back against the wall, desperate to deflect his attention. No. What? Not the chairman. The chairman's lease is one of the few things keeping Tarwolf in check, yes, but that control is not absolute. He takes a breath and tempers his voice. Now is not the time for an in-depth lesson in politics, but suffice it to say when a single man heads law enforcement, the military, and intelligence, the implicit threat of a coup and civil war stays the chairman's hand. Even with checks. Then why hasn't he been demoted or something? The man has supporters. Many believe his vision for the city to be the correct one. He's spoken to Doric. His family is standing in a complex network of alliances affords him the latitude to act the way he does, not to mention a talent for manipulating people. He softens his gaze, but I can still feel its heat. If he thinks you have potential as an asset, he is going to systematically determine what you want, what you need, and everything that's important to you, including people. However he needs to leverage those things to make you useful, he will. I reach again for my anger, as that's far preferable to the simmering guilt of fear. Well, this wouldn't have happened if you just trusted me more. I wouldn't have had to sneak around just to fucking listen. I wouldn't have had to sneak around just to fucking learn something about my dad. Dad pauses. He looks away. The heat dissipates. You're right. You. What? I'm stunned. I was hopeful I could keep you out of this longer, but it was short-lived of me. But it was short-sighted of me to think something like this wouldn't happen eventually. I was careless. I should have insisted harder about us talking elsewhere, or 100 other things. He looks at me briefly and then away again. I stand by what I said. There are just some things you aren't, well, there are just some things you aren't and may never be prepared for. He sighs, turning to consider our family portrait. But you're right. I could have done more. I could have tried more. I stared at him. I'm still angry. Trying at the very least you could have done. He sighs, looking downward. But I'm done, but I'm not done with him yet. I used to idolize you. But I'm not done yet. But I'm not done with him yet. I used to idolize you, back in Ryan. Then you changed. I don't remember exactly when, but at some point you started expecting me to be that good little boy forever, pretending to be happy and never asking questions. The only difference now is that you want me to run all your tech. So what, I don't get to change? You want me to be that child forever? Years change, Wavi, in ways I haven't always been prepared for. But this situation with Torwolf. Fuck Torwolf. Are you going to give me the space to grow or not? For the first time in my life, Dad looks entirely unsure what to do. Anxious. It's uncomfortable to look at, like I'm seeing something fundamentally private, naked and exposed. So instead, I lean back and look up at the patterned stars of the ceiling. I remember Dad telling me that they're a perfect model of the way in the sky. For as much as we tried to leave it, we never seemed to let it go. I've considered running away. 22 years old, and here I am talking about running away like a kid, like I need my dad's fucking permission to go do anything. Barely a man. I guess Crown's words hit a bit harder than I thought. But if I did, where would I go? To Kavir, crash with one of the soccer jockeys I barely know, struggle to get my own place? Sure, it might work for a while, but I'm not kidding myself. I'd always end up turning back to you, the one with all the contacts. I dropped my eyes to him, his posture loose and sad, the one with all the answers. There's a distant look on his face, a figure stroking the frame of our portrait. I can't. I swallow. I still don't want to leave this. Leave him. His shoulders look heavier than before. I know. He sits on the bed, patting and lining. You can't be serious. Indulge me. He smiles. Please, just be my son for a few sec. Just be my son for a few minutes. I rub my eyes. You gonna tell me a bedtime story? Something like that. He pats the bed again. I grumble and relent, pushing myself on the wall. The mattress creaks. We don't touch. Instead, he gestures to to my map on the wall. Instead, he gestures to my map on the wall. Okay, so let's try Vazar. Let's try Hazar. And this is San Leos. they're currently at. This Ryan, this is where they're originally from. Okay. There's some mountains separating St. Leo's from Ryan. This is the white here. Okay, let's. Okay. St. Leo's above and New Leo's below. Twin cities sharing the same soul. The ruined city right here. The one remains the city, and this is the New Leo's, like the new city. Sometimes I wonder if either of them are real. Their separation or illusion. He turns to me. Do you remember the Sala? A pair of tail spinners always referred to together. The tail spinners, yeah. Twin sisters of story. Blah blah. He nods. In some cultures they are sisters. In others ideas born from the same person. Regardless, there is always Dine, the truth, and Icha, the lies. Certainty and uncertainty, light and shadow. But reality is more complex. When truth is harsh and unyielding, where do we shelter? When lies conceal terrors or injustice, what do we seek? This city is a lot like that. Complicated. A story of improbable connections. I probably, well, I really had it with the lecture today, Dad. This is also our story, Ravi. There's something I need you to understand. Me. He points up. And you. He points down. What? It's a mistake. It's a mistake to assume connections make us the same. People are always changing. Similarities will fade. Understanding how we are similar is important, yes, but it's equally important to connect in ways that build on our differences. We will always have differences. What does this have to do with Sala? In Wayan, duality is not conflict. In our version, the Sala are lovers, creating unity through the combination of their differences. The place where they live, where their differences meet. That is the birthplace of stories. Do you remember? You mean, do I recall getting this drilled into me when I was 8? Yeah? The telling, the nonsense realm where everything is and isn't. He nods. There's a place where whatever Isa says, whatever Isa speaks, Dina honors. Uncertainty begets certainty, lies become truth. I make a face heat up at being walked through this again like I'm a child. I make a face heating up at being walked through this again like I'm a child. In the telling, there's a potential for infinite complexity and infinite combinations. The very concepts of truth or lies become meaningless. Anything is possible. The story time is your conduit to that. It weaves those boundless threads into a tapestry firm enough to perceive, but loose enough to unravel. A flick of your wrist, and reality moves. So then why have I always told you to use it sparingly? Why limit yourself? So then why have I always told you to use it sparingly? Why limit yourself? I consider him with a long, Ureli tutored exhale or paces and lean back, looking away. Because stories tell the universe, right? Dad shakes his head. You say the words, but I'm still not convinced you understand them. When you enter the story time, how does it work? I don't know, it's just say what I want and it happens pretty much. There's focus involved, of course, but you already know that. Yes, but why? With infinite complexity comes an infinite number of interpretations. But when you assert your will, there are never any questions. It simply happens, exactly as you desire. Why is that? What does it matter? It happens. Exactly. It doesn't matter. That still concerns you. You're in the story time, directly connected to the seller's domain. If you are commanding it like Aicha, then there is a DNA constantly listening to you, perfectly interpreting your every intention and desire. But we don't always know our own desires. And you can't know which part of you it listens to. Suddenly I remember that long frozen hallway with something waiting for me at the end of it. I remember its maw, its fangs, its throat. I remember cold like prey must feel cold, seen and exposed. I remember fear, directionless, wanting the drive to escape. I remember its hunger, like worms, must feel hunger, blind and emotionless, and searching through ice and dark and dirt. I remember its whisper urging me to do more, and how easy it would have been to listen. My heart skips a beat. I stand up from the bed. It's not like I'm running around randomly, thinking about things to change. You taught me to be specific. I think my intentions are pretty damn clear. Besides, I'm not changing anything permanently. He looks at me. We don't know that. But even if you're right, a change doesn't need to be permanent to matter. And your intentions are never going to be as clear as you think. Here's what I mean. You called me out earlier, called me a liar. You said I didn't trust you. What if I told you I've only ever spoken the truth? Even the lies? Especially the lies. He stands too. Because I do trust you. I trust in your impulsiveness, your preference for bluntness and honesty, your curiosity and your hunger to connect. I trust that if told some things, your character would force you to act, and very likely get you killed. That's not the same thing. He holds up a hand. And I trust you're still learning. He again turns towards the map on the wall, gesturing towards Rayan. All people have a proverb. The truth is sand and lies the furnace. We can try and hold the truth, but it will always slip through our fingers. We can try and find the truth, but a single grain is forever lost in sifting sands. So instead of fruitlessly sifting for that perfect answer, perfect control, we grab what we can and interpret it. We melt it down into a form we can use. Applying whatever framework, faith, or falsehood is required to give it the desired shape. That shape becomes your reality, a reasonless, lying father, perhaps. My brain feels like paste. I don't feel like getting into an argument about what is and isn't real. This isn't what we were talking about at all, right? So what? I've imagined you into being an asshole? He turns back. Yes. I go and rub my eyes in frustration. I don't get it. Everything is a lie. Not entirely true. This mattress is fake. I fall back on it with a little bounce. Pretty comfy for a fake. I want to annoy him, expressed by growing impatience. I succeed. Ravi, please, this is important. Because it's not about things being fake. It's about seeing the world a particular way that allows you to make sense of it. That justifies your feelings. You choose to imagine me as one-dimensional. That's convenient for you. No, it's convenient for you. You struggle to open your mind to complexity and uncertainty, insisting on clear explanations and singular answers when there are none. What's the point then? Why even bother doing anything if nothing can ever be understood, if nothing ever matters? I never said nothing matters. Only that the universe is beyond us, that there are no complete lies, no perfect truths. And even if there were, we couldn't understand them. We are all simply too different to see the things, to see the same things. That's why we tell stories. They communicate form to what we can't grasp and meaning to what we can't know. They connect us. This always happens when we talk. I always end up losing track of what I was angry about. The threat of whatever it is he's trying to argue. My head spinning. So I look back to the map searching for an anchor. Joshua Hasvar and Vachis. $100 miles, 300 miles. To weigh up to the stars. Our stories tell the universe. Dad nods again, tentatively, resting his hand on my shoulder. I look at his hand, then his face. Insistent, sincere, pleading. We simply cannot exist without viewing the world through a lens of our own making, intentionally or not. All this. He gestures broadly to my room. Will not mean the same fate for both of us. Living is fundamentally a projection of interpretation and control, constantly applying sense and meaning so all this becomes tangible, real. That also means you are in turn revealed by whatever you create, what you project, because this lens will always be unique to you. I'm tired and confused. The fire I had a few minutes ago goes out of me. The ceiling stars flicker. I remember the night view from the mountains, from the bent fields, whenever I went off angry or anxious or afraid. The stars were the same as Wayans, the same but different, because I was different, but also the same. I look back. Is this you actually revealing yourself to me? Still angry. Your interpretation? Still anxious. What do you see then? Still afraid. I see us. How we're both guilty of trying to grab a little sand, boldly assuming we're fully in control or have grasped the only answers. He looks away, growing somber again. I see how we struggle to assert our stories on each other, forcing distance between us when we can't. I see how, in doing so, we reveal what we want, your desire for freedom, for choice, and my desire to protect you from yourself. It looks back. I'm terrified for you, Ravi, because of people like Torwolf, yes, but also because in story time, your perspective exists without challenge. Simply by existing there, you risk altering everything. If you are the only furnace, the only light, then you will always be revealed. And whatever's watching you, whatever's watching you with every visit, will ask itself the same question: Who is Wavayan? Who is Wavayan? He fingers my shoulder until it knows. I snap. So what? I should never use story time again. I honestly don't know. way in oral tradition or the nature of story time has always been vague and allegorical. It's a sort of ether or medium that surrounds the telling, and through which all things are connected, envisioned, interpreted. He shakes his head. But beyond the sala, there's never been any mention of presence. So maybe it's innocuous. Maybe it's the sala themselves, since your very first use of the story time, I've wondered and theorized endlessly about the mechanics of it. But also it's dangerous. That's why I've trained you the way I have. So wait, this is all just your theory? I feel my heart weight quickening thin. I feel my heart rate quicken again. You don't actually know? He squeezes my leg. This is me trusting you. If you want to be free, you must embrace this uncertainty. I take a breath to calm down my heart and then bat away his hand. I need some time to think. Just, please go. All right. He steps away slowly, moving towards the door. Just one parting thought. If the sailor teaches us nothing else, is that the greatest stories are never created alone. You are connected to whatever is listening to you in story time, so you must come to understand it. Likewise, you must learn to know people for who they are, all of who they are, light and shadow. Open your mind to complexity. So it's fine, by the way. I blink. What? You're working with Kavir. Because you're right. I realize if you're ever going to understand the world the way I need you to, I have to let you go and build on our differences. He turns to leave. I'm still a bit stunned as he opens the door. Wait. He stops, glancing back, as if my weight uncomfortably. Why did you tell me to stop calling you Dad? He looks down. I briefly considered that it might be easier to control you if I put more distance between us. That it would be easier to keep you safe. Shortly after you left this morning, Tarwolf contacted me about his willingness to let Crown perform for the evening. He didn't say explicitly that he would also be coming, but I knew that would be the case. He likes to unbalance me. So I complained to Ureli how his presence was going to complicate the entire evening, how I've have to move around discreet meetings to control the situation. I went on about it for some time. She waited patiently for me to finish and then said, and here I thought control was an illusion. I felt rather ridiculous after that. I laughed, loud and coarsely. I can't say it wasn't deserved. You're not the master storyteller of a small village anymore. Stop trying to be. I shook my head. You can't know everything like you used to. When he looks back up, his eyes catch the sprig of mint on the sill. I never knew everything. You understand that if you listened. I watched him leave, staring at the door for a while after it closes. That is not at all how I expected that conversation to go. And I listened to it just fine. I want my temples. I think I would have preferred more yelling. I'm so damn tired. I flopped back on the bed and closed my eyes. Spinner disabled incognito. And wake me up like a half hour before Crown's last performance. Acknowledge. Rest well, Wavi. He's on chapter 3. Okay, so I'll start right here. Alright, so in that conversation, what I think I get from what his father says is that in life you have to go about things the way you understand it, and that it's impossible to seek absolute truth. There's no absolutes in life. Like, we don't know what goes on in the universe. Like, we don't know the truth out there in space and the universe, and that to seek the truth and absolutes is impossible. And so instead we have to look at everything and evaluate everything into our understanding. I think that's what his father was trying to tell him, because his son, Ravi, he's always someone who wants the truth. He's very blunt and very upfront, and he always wants the truth about everything. And while that's not a bad thing, some things you can't always learn the truth. It's just not that simple for a lot of things. So I understand what his father is saying about that. And I guess story time is kind of like him. I'm still not entirely sure what story time is. I gotta look back, but it's kind of like another reality that Ravi can go into, or at least an alternate reality, and he can train himself there in his abilities and his knowledge. But still trying to figure out what story time is, but maybe by the end of the next video I'll explain it clearly what story time is. But anyway, looks like the son of Toywolf, Dorek, he's gonna be staying with them for the time being. So we got the son and the father to deal with for a while. So it's kind of easy for Ravi to get in trouble when they're constantly around. So he'll just have to be careful. So we should be going to see Crown's performance soon, possibly in the next video. So we're gonna go ahead and stop right here, and thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.